Welcome everybody. Today we're running this webinar on some amazing hidden gems in Africa and Asia. So joining us today we have Marissa and we have Hannah, and these two have recently been to 4 of our programs across Africa and Asia, and so today they're going to talk to you about the accommodation, the local team, a little bit about the location, the different types of projects. And so the agenda for today will be to cover off the 2 African programs first, Zambia and Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. And then we'll have some time after that for Marissa to answer some questions that you might have. And then we'll follow on with our Asia programs, the Philippines and Laos, and then allow some time for Hannah to answer any questions that you might have. And then we'll just cover some of the fees, how to apply, and any other questions that come through. So if during the course of this presentation you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. Otherwise, we do have some questions that have come through earlier. So I'm going to let things kick off and pass it over to Marissa to talk about Zambia.
Thanks, Anne Shirley, and welcome everybody. Yeah, as Anne Shirley just said, I was lucky enough to recently visit the Zambia program about a month ago. It was incredible. I had an amazing time, and I can see exactly why our volunteers love this program. So I was very lucky to be able to experience it myself and see how everything's running on the ground there. So basically Zambia, it's definitely a really beautiful place. There's lots to do there. It is quite a tourist destination. You could do lots of safaris and there's lots of other activities to do. It's based in Livingstone, so yeah, lots of wildlife. And of course, you can go and visit the famous Victoria Falls there. And all in all, the program, it's great for basically anybody, all ages that I saw there. The local team there are super hands-on and super supportive. And it's great for travellers that are on a budget as well, because I found it quite cheap when I was there in terms of spending. But yeah, it's a great destination all in all. So there we have the local team there in the middle. So as I said, they're very hands-on, very supportive. Great if you're a first-time traveller or a solo traveller, because they're based right there in the accommodation. They have their office there, so they're always there if volunteers need anything at all. You'll be based in a volunteer house, as you can see there. Top left photo, and the typical style is shared rooms, so like a dormitory style volunteer house, but they do also offer private room upgrades if you prefer to have that privacy. And so yeah, it's a really nice space. The meals are really great as well. You get a good mix of traditional food, so I got to try lots of things that I hadn't before, but yeah, you get served breakfast, lunch and dinner. That's all part of your program fee. And then the projects that we offer there in Zambia, so we've got childcare. Typically, you know, you're going to be spending time teaching children from ages 2 to 6, and this one's more of working in daycare centres and kindergartens, pre and primary schools. So yeah, playing, teaching basic ABCs, singing songs, helping with feeding and that kind of thing. And then we've got medical. This one, it does require you to have at least 3 years of medical studies or experience in the medical field. And this one's quite good. It's hands-on in a range of different clinics and a small hospital as well. Then we've got teaching, so that one there, that's teaching more children ranged in age from about 6 till 15, which I think is grade 8. And yeah, sort of more teaching English, some maths as well, some sports. So that one's a little bit, some teaching experience might be helpful, but you don't need to have any prior experience. You'll be sort of working with local teachers as well that will be there to guide you. We've got construction and renovation. This is good for someone who likes to get their hands dirty and don't mind working outside in the heat, because it does get very hot. But yeah, at the moment, they're helping to build a caretaker's storage, a new storage shed, and as well there's a new laboratory that they're working on at a school, and another school that's being built, which is going to be ready soon, in I think next month, which is great. It's going to provide some free education for new students, which is great to see. But yeah, lots of bricklaying, making the bricks, plastering, that kind of thing. And then we've got rural teaching. This one is about a 1.5 hours drive from Livingstone itself. So it's based out in a rural village, in quite a remote area, and it's very it's quite an immersive experience if you're looking for that kind of thing. It's sort of away from the main volunteer house, and there might only be 1 or 2 of you there, but you get to basically live like a local if you're really looking for that experience, and you get to teach at a local school there in the village. And then we've got elderly care. This one is really great for those who have a caring nature, and again, it likes to take initiative. We have an old people's home there where yeah, we take care of the elderly who often don't have anywhere else to go. And yeah, it's great for someone who has maybe some physical therapy experience and likes to take initiative and provide them activities to do and things like that. But that, yeah, that one, they need a lot of help at that place. And then, yeah, free time activities is an awesome place if you're wanting to sort of have a working holiday, you know, work hard, play hard sort of experience, because there's lots to do there. And I was lucky enough to get to do the Chobe National Park Safari. That's one of the most popular things to do there. I got to do Devil's Pool. I got to do a sunset cruise down the Zambezi River with hippos and crocodiles. I did a rhino walk as well, and of course visited the famous Victoria Falls. So yeah, definitely plenty to do there. Okay, and then after Zambia, I went on to visit our Victoria Falls program in Zimbabwe. So I just crossed the border there. It was nice and easy to get to. And yeah, this is a great program. Again, someone who wants to get their hands dirty. It's quite physical, and again, being outside in the heat as well. So it's, yeah, a lot of hard work out on the reserve. You know, it's good for someone that has a high level of fitness, or at least medium. But at the same time, the local team are very accommodating, and they'll provide alternatives for things for people to do if there's something that they can't quite, you know, feel like they can contribute to. It's based on a private reserve, so you'll get to live and work on a private game reserve, and that's where they protect the black rhino there. So yeah, the local team, they're great as well. Again, very hands-on, very supportive. Yeah, very clued up on wildlife conservation. Yeah, it's very impressive what they do there on the reserve and how they contribute to conservation. The accommodation is a little bit different to in Zambia. On this program, you get your own private room. That's the standard. So it's quite luxurious if you like your own space, and you want to have that downtime, you know, away from the noise and everything. So that was really nice. And the food as well was incredible. It was, yeah, 10 out of 10 food. They've got great chefs there on site. Yeah, beautiful food. Can't fault it. So we have just the one project on offer for the Victoria Falls program. It is the wildlife conservation, but there are many activities involved within that one project. So they split it up into 2 pillars, which is conservation and then also community work. So Most of it is working out on the reserve, removing alien plant species which are toxic to rhino. So we were doing removal of, they were called lantana trees. So that was really hard work, using pickaxes and cutters. So if you really like to get in there with your gardening, it's great for that. And then, working in the vegetable garden there. Also getting to visit a local primary school, so you get to interact with the children, help teach English, play with the children. So you do get that variety in the project. It's not just physical and working out on the reserve. And the highlight is definitely just getting to do essentially a free safari every day. You don't need to pay to do a safari with this program because you're getting that every day. You're doing a game drive every day to get to your work site. You're spotting wildlife everywhere. It's home to the big 5 animals. So it's definitely an amazing program. Again, free activities, quite similar to those that you would find in Zambia, because again, they're very close to each other. They just border each other there. So obviously visiting the famous Victoria Falls, that was beautiful. And also, things like whitewater rafting, bungee jumping. So if you're quite into your adventure, definitely the place to go. And again, a lot of the time people will go through to Botswana and do the Chobe National Park Safari and Devil's Pool and the Sunset Cruise and the Rhino Walks as well. Cool. Any questions about Zambia and Victoria Falls?
Thanks, Marissa. We've just been working through some technical glitches here, so it doesn't look like people can send questions in the chat. So sorry, everybody on the call at the moment. We're doing our best to get that working for you. But in the meantime, quite a few of you did send through some questions when you submitted the form to join the webinar. So we've sort of collated some of the more common questions, and I'll just be asking Marissa those now. Hopefully that covers a lot of the questions, but if we don't ask a question that you've got, please feel free to send us an email at info@volunteerhq.org, and one of the team will definitely respond to any questions that you might have. Okay, so Marissa, we've had a lot of questions around vaccinations. So can you sort of walk us through if there are any requirements and what people would need to do around that?
Yes, so for both programs, there are no vaccinations that are legally required. We, of course, do provide a list in your program guide once you register about the recommended vaccinations. So a lot of them are just your standard hepatitis A and D, tetanus, anti-malarial tablets as well, typhoid, that kind of thing, all sort of very generic. We, of course, can just recommend these, but we ask that you contact your doctor to discuss these based on, your own medical history, and it is a personal choice, of course. So, we definitely recommend you discuss them with your doctor based on vaccination.
Cool. And what are there any language barriers? How easy is it to sort of communicate with everybody? Is there, should people learn a bit of the local language?
I think it's definitely always a nice idea to learn at least how to say hello and thank you. It's always as a respect thing when you're traveling. But both Zambia and in Victoria Falls, all of the locals speak English really, really well. So I had no problems at all with the language barrier. I think they all learn it relatively growing up and things, and there are always quite a lot of tourists around. So no issues there. But both programs, they'll give you a little crash course on the language and your orientation, just greetings and how to say thank you, that kind of thing.
Cool. And now, so another couple of sort of questions that we've had are around people over 40 specifically, and seniors, wondering if this program would be suitable for them. So, could you sort of talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, for Zambia, definitely great for over 40s, senior volunteers. That program's definitely for everybody. Yeah, certainly. And with Victoria Falls, with it being quite physical, yes, we still get people, we get people in their 60s, 70s. We've had some in their 80s even join. Really, it's just mainly ensuring that you've got at least a medium level of fitness and knowing that it is going to be quite physical. But like I say, the local team are very accommodating and flexible. They want to make sure that everyone can contribute in their own way. And certainly with the private rooms and things like that, we find our more mature volunteers really like that, and it's definitely a luxury in terms of the accommodation and the facilities. You get that downtime and almost like a bit of a relaxing holiday after doing all the hard work.
Yeah, no, definitely from your pictures, it looked like a great little spot to be set up in.
Yeah.
So we've also had people asking around sort of the best time to go, and if there's a sort of more popular time and how far in advance people might need to sort of apply for these programs.
Yeah, definitely our most popular time to travel for our volunteers would be during probably the Northern Hemisphere summer, because that's when a lot of people get time off work and school and things. In terms of the weather, when I was there in September, it was quite good. It was definitely hot and dry, but there's no rain or anything like that. I know the rainy season typically runs between November to about March. So some people decide to, avoid the rainy season, but at the same time, that's when the Victoria Falls are running at their best. So it's a great time for that. But yeah, in terms of timeframes with booking, some people, you can book right up until a couple of weeks before. We can take last minute bookings quite often. The local teams are really flexible, and making sure that we can get you on the program if there's availability. But to be, sort of more prepared, we sort of say to give it, at least a month. But with both programs, you only need to get a visa on arrival, so there's no time restraints with that sort of thing.
Awesome. And a lot of people ask about, the add-ons, excursions that we offer. Sometimes they like to sort of wait until they're in country before, making a plan, meeting the other volunteers, doing something together. Do you think that's like perfectly good for these programs, or would some of them you'd recommend maybe booking sooner rather than later?
I think with both programs, you can wait until the orientation on your first day once you've arrived, and a lot of people do like to do that because they want to see what the other volunteers are doing, and it's quite nice to experience those things as a group rather than doing it by yourself. So a lot of the time people do wait until you're there. That's absolutely fine. They usually have no problem booking you in to things last minute. But I would say perhaps if you are going to Zambia and maybe only for a week, you might like to perhaps reach out and just make sure that there's availability if you don't have too much time on the program to spare.
And we've had a very specific question around flying into Cape Town to start at Victoria Falls. Do you want to sort of talk about how people would go about looking at their flights and if we can sort of help them or suggest things?
Yeah, so yeah, it is up to the volunteer to purchase their flights, but we can provide guidance around, what airport you need to fly into, what day and what time sort of thing, and how the airport pickup, what that looks like. We do offer, once you're registered, we have a flight partner and you can obtain a free quote from them once you do register. But that you can also search elsewhere if you do find, more favourable deal. Again, yeah, we do have two particular airports that we like volunteers to fly into, or if you're coming from Zimbabwe, they can pick you up at the Zambian border or vice versa. We do get a lot of volunteers that will do the Zambia program and then go across to the Victoria Falls program because they're so close together. But yeah, we can provide guidance around depending on where you're coming from, because we have a lot of people coming from all sorts of places around the world and different airports, so it really does depend.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question, we might just do one more and then, well, no, two more. I have two more questions and then we'll sort of wrap up this region. The first one is around, oh no, I just lost it. Where did it go? Okay, I'm going to go to the second question. What were your two highlights? One from Zambia, one from Vic Falls.
Oh gosh, that's really hard to just pick one. My highlight from Zambia, that was definitely I think it was the sunset cruise, in all honesty. It was going down the Zambezi River. It was on a Friday, and it was after a long week of attending placements and working with our volunteers, and it was a really nice way to unwind after, a long week. And yeah, it's super relaxing, and you can see lots of wildlife across the river. But again, just getting to see all of our placements and see the impact that our volunteers have made over the years was also incredible. Yeah. And then Victoria Falls, that's really hard as well.
I like asking the tough questions here.
I think just getting to do a game drive, just waking up, getting to go and do a game drive through the reserve every morning. A highlight was actually definitely camping out on the reserve. You get to do that every Thursday night of the program. You take your tents, and every week they have tents, and you light a campfire. We toasted marshmallows. We listened to some traditional African stories and songs, and got to dance as well. That was definitely a highlight.
Oh, sounds like a dream. Now I've remembered my other question. Somebody had asked if they can volunteer for just 2 to 3 days. Do you want to talk a little bit about durations?
Yeah, so like all of our programs that IVHQ offers, we do have a minimum duration of 1 week. So for Zambia, it's 1 week. For Victoria Falls, it's a minimum of 2 weeks, just because it allows for some consistency on the program and for handover and things like that. That is the fixed durations that we offer.
And what's the most somebody could volunteer for in both programs?
Yeah, so the most you can volunteer for on some of our programs is 24 weeks. And the minimum, for at least Zambia, 1 week. The minimum for Victoria Falls is 2 weeks. And then, the maximum for Victoria Falls is 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you. We might have some more general questions coming through at the end, in which case, we might have you back and answering them. But for now, we'll get over to Asia and have Hannah start talking about the Philippines.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I recently just got back from visiting the Philippines and Laos. So I went last month as well. I went in September. So first off, I visited the Philippines, which was just simply amazing. It is located in Tikman Village. So it is about a 2 to 3 hour drive from Puerto Princesa, which is where you will fly into. So the village itself is very remote, and it's quite laid back environment there, but nothing but fun. It was so great. It was really, really cool. So there we have the local team again. Yep. So in the middle picture there. So they're fantastic, very hands-on. They all, because the village is so small, they all live nearby. Their office is at the accommodation as well. So they're always around. Someone's always around if you need a hand. The accommodation, top 2 pictures there. We have, obviously, it is like a dormitory style rooms. However, we do have private room upgrades available, and we also have like a beach hotel, basically, like a private room. So that's right on the ocean front, which is super, super nice if you want a little bit more privacy and like a luxurious stay. The meals there were super, super amazing. They have a local chef. So she was superb. You get served 3 meals a day, 2 on the weekend. Very fulfilling and very nice. So the projects on offer there, we've got childcare. Now that's a super fun project. On that project you work with young children, I guess, from the ages of around, I would say like 2 to 5 in the morning at the local kindergarten. And then you break, and in the afternoon you actually move on to the local school. So it's quite cool. You'll get to teach 2nd and 3rd grades in the school in the afternoon. So you get a bit of both in that project, which is really nice. We have environmental conservation, which is based obviously in the village as well. So they obviously go into the mangroves and they help, collect seeds and replant. So that one there is actually quite physically demanding. I noticed when I was there, it's quite hard work. Very, very, very cool, but yeah, very hard as well. So then we move on, we've got teaching again. So the teaching project is at the same school that the childcare volunteers work at in the afternoon. So we've got teaching there, and they teach more of the older students. So you're going to be teaching ages from around 8 to 9 through to 14, 15 even. So you're going to be teaching, some of the older students there. So great project for everyone. Obviously, again, like if you have a teaching background, that's going to help. But everyone there is absolutely welcome. The local team and the coordinators will help you out no matter what. And you'll be helping the local teacher, like the teachers there as well. Same with childcare, you're just assisting. So yeah, there's always going to be teachers around. We then have construction and renovation. Now this project is super, super cool as well. They were currently, when I was there, they're currently making an eco fence. So they're making a new fence around the kindergarten, and this project began when we reopened from COVID, so last August, and it's still going. But basically they're making, they call them eco bricks, and they are Coca-Cola bottles filled with plastic, because obviously they can't get their hands on bricks and things like that. So they're doing what they can using cement, and then laying those Coca-Cola bottles as bricks, and then they're painting them as well. So that's what they're all up to there at the moment. It was really cool. I got stuck in as well. Again, it is physically demanding. We just had the one volunteer on that project when I was there, but he was enjoying himself thoroughly. Yeah. Oh. In my spare time, in free time activities, I guess, in the Philippines, because you are so remote, there aren't, one thing I do want to note is that there isn't, there's not restaurants or cafes or anything in the village. It is very remote. Same with Wi-Fi at the accommodation. Sorry, I did just want to mention that that is very patchy. So free time activities, yes, we do have, there was some fantastic waterfalls that I got to go see. You can go to neighbouring towns such as Nara, which I've listed there. So that is a 30-minute drive. That's where you're going to get all of your like cafes, your supermarkets, if you need any medical supplies, shopping, all of that there. So just a quick drive down, 30-minute drive down to Nara. Obviously, if you want to go further north on the weekends, you can head up to El Nido. A lot of volunteers do that. So that is a bit of, it takes a bit of travel. You have to get yourself from Tigman back up to Porto Princesa by car, and then from Porto Princesa you can take like a van, but the local team there have that all sorted. So if that was of interest to anyone, that can certainly be arranged. Then obviously you've got, you know, the beach right on your doorstep, so you can go swimming. There is patches where you can't, unfortunately, but when I was there, it was due to jellyfish. They were on the beach, so we had to walk around to the next bay, which is only a short walk, and that was absolutely fine to swim in that beach. So no matter what, you can still definitely get in the ocean at some point if that's what you're into. Yeah, there's so many different options, markets around. You can go to Porto Princesa as well. Obviously as well, you've got the underground river to explore as well there in Porto Princesa. So yeah, a lot going on. Wonderful. Then I headed to Laos for my final week. So that was an absolute hidden gem. Like I've said there on the presentation, I've absolutely fallen in love with Laos, and I didn't know what I was really going to head into when I went there. But everyone, I think, should visit Laos if they can in their life. So the program is based in Luang Prabang, and again the local team, they're really great there as well. The town itself isn't too big. You don't see many tourists around either, so you can really like indulge in the local culture. Yeah, it's just such a wonderful place to explore. Cool. So yeah, again, top two pictures, we've got the accommodation. Now that is a reasonably new accommodation. So I was really happy with how it was working and where it is. It is in a guest house now, so you can expect to share your accommodation with only one other volunteer. So if you want, you can have a private room upgrade. Great for all kind of volunteers there. We've got family room upgrades. Yeah, it works for everyone. There's not any kind of volunteer that I wouldn't say, wouldn't fit in there in Laos. They have a local cook on site, and she provided the most incredible meals, sometimes too much. That made me very full. I couldn't finish all the meals because they were such large portions. So if you're a big eater, then you're not going to be left hungry there. Cool. Yeah, so just the 3 projects there in Laos. It is quite a small program, but I mean, it is absolutely great. So we have childcare. So childcare is really neat. They have different ages, I guess, depending on where the need is at the time. You may be working, with the little guy, like little babies, right up through to 5 years of age. If you have a preference of like what age you want to work with, then obviously, let us know. Let us know. Note it down on your application, anything like that, or just let the local team know, and they can slot you in. But there's a ton of children there, so they all love having volunteers, as do the teachers as well. Again, you're just going to be working alongside the teacher there. So basically, you're just going to be interacting, with the children, helping and assisting their meal times, teaching them basic English, playing games, all things like that. Then we've got teaching English, which is really cool. It's the school itself actually is like, you look outside and there's a temple on site. So that was super cool to see. So you'd see, monks and all things, like they would be at the school as well. They attend the school that we are placing our volunteers at. So that was awesome to see as well there. You'll be teaching teenagers mainly. You'll be teaching, mainly teenagers upwards to of 18. So 12, 13 through to 18. And again, you'll be assisting the local teacher. So just teaching English in that one, which is cool. And then construction and renovation, again, much the same, a very physical project. We didn't have anyone when I was there on the project, but we're recently building like a new building for the monks actually, which is really cool to see. It's by one of their temples, and it's just like a little storage room for them. And they've also previously just been doing some painting as well through the temples. So that was really, really nice to see. So they get up to all sorts there, depending obviously, what the tasks are at the time. But if you were interested in heading, to any of these programs, you can ask us what they're doing at that time, and we'll be sure to find out, what the tasks will be. Cool. Yeah, so a lot to do in Laos. I was fortunate enough I got to cruise along the Mekong twice. I went on a sunset cruise as well, and then I also cruised along and went and visited another temple there that they have. But yeah, you can do biking. The accommodation has free bikes available, so if that's of interest, you're welcome to go out on one of the bikes around town, go to a cafe, visit the shops, all things like that. Hikes, because you're in the mountains, there's so many hikes to do. So volunteers do those on the weekends. There's plenty of waterfalls to explore. Crystal clear water, super, super nice and refreshing. Night markets. Now, night markets is, I would say, a 15-minute walk from the accommodation, roughly a 5 to 10-minute drive depending on traffic. You can tuk-tuk there as well if you like. Incredible meals, super affordable as well. And then they have a super long strip of trinkets, so you can get like clothes, bracelets, you can buy all sorts there. So that was super cool to do as well. And then visiting all the temples, which was super amazing to see. There's a lot of them around. If you have or haven't been, you may know, but they're everywhere you go, and everyone is so different. So it was nice to walk through those and take some photos, and just really see what Laos is all about.
Amazing. So clearly you had a wonderful 2 weeks in Asia. And actually one of the questions that came through was asking specifically about what the best part of volunteering in the Philippines is. So what would you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So someone, I guess, that likes being around the beach, someone as well that wants a digital detox. As I mentioned, you're not going to be able use your phone too much, if at all. So it's not really ideal for any of those people, that do want to be connected. It is a place where, you take your books. The local team at the accommodation has a massive bookcase of books. So it is one of those places, that you do need to detox yourself from. So I personally did really enjoy that, taking the time away, from the phone, from the laptop, all things like that, and just really indulging myself in. The other thing I would say as well, that the locals are just so friendly, and the kids there, wherever you go, you're going to be welcomed, you're going to be greeted, you're going to be, they just love having volunteers around.
Awesome. Now, another person asked about Laos specifically, and it seems that the placements are relatively remote. So, is there a lot to do sort of in the area, or is it just sort of the extracurriculars? How close are they to the sort of location of the accommodation and the placements?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, construction obviously is dependent. That's going to depend where they're working at the time. Where they are working at the time would be, I would say, between a 5 and 10 minute drive from the accommodation. Teaching is right in town. So teaching, again, teaching would be roughly around, again, 5 to 10 minute drive, but the other direction to construction. Childcare is the furthest. That would be, I would say, around a 15-minute drive to get over to childcare. But not too far. Like, we have had volunteers biking to these placements. We do have a driver though, so they're not needed to find their own way there. The driver will take them.
Awesome. And so you sort of talked about in a general sense, how like the type of people it would be suitable for, like wanting to be near the beach and digital detox. But is it sort of suitable for every age? Do you is it good for families or, seniors, retirees, everybody, or just specific groups would you recommend?
For Philippines or for Laos?
Both.
For both, yeah, of course. So for the Philippines, yes, yep, absolutely is, again, it's suitable for everyone. There aren't as many accommodation upgrades. So for the more mature volunteers, if that's what you are wanting, then just Oh, I think I've lost it. Back. I'll just repeat that. For the more mature volunteers, if you want a private room upgrade in the Philippines, you will need to act on that quite fast. We don't have too many. But yes, it is absolutely, suitable for everyone. The heat is one thing. If you don't enjoy the heat, then I went at the end of the rainy season in September, and it was mid 30s, low to mid 30s, and
that's degrees Celsius, right?
Yes, sorry, yes, yeah. So, it's only going to get hotter. So, depending on when you want to go, that's something else I'd look into. But Philippines and Laos, I will sum it up in one. Absolutely, accessible for everyone.
Awesome. And so on the note around weather, what's the best time of year to volunteer in Laos?
Yes, again, so they had also just come out of their rainy season. I found it a little bit cooler there in September. I was there middle of September, and that was quite enjoyable. So you're only looking at around, some days did get to 30 Celsius, but other days it would be like mid 20s Celsius. So a little bit more bearable if you're not one that is good with heat. So again, they do just have both locations do just have the 2 seasons, dry season and wet season. So depending on if you're good in the heat or not, yeah, but then again, wet season, obviously you can find some rain. I only found rain once in both Laos and in the Philippines for 2 hours, so it wasn't, and then clear blue skies, so it wasn't bad. Yeah.
Okay, so another person has asked a very specific question. However, I think we can cover this a little bit generally as well.
Yeah.
So they're a retired primary school principal and they want to, help, as like a teacher aide or whatever. For teaching projects or any other projects, are there any qualifications that's required, or do you just kind of need to have an interest? Like, where is the sort of level of qualifications required for projects?
Yeah. So both Philippines and Laos, anyone is welcome, and anyone is welcome to apply. So for someone that has those skills, absolutely, they may even be able to go on and lead a class rather than just assist. So they may be able to do more tasks, and have full lead, have full take over the classroom. But yeah, no, absolutely, anyone can apply. We don't require any qualifications there or background. As long as you like children, have an interest in teaching, you're fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Now I'm going to just ask one more question and then do a couple more that can be sort of directed at both of you before we sort of go into the last session and wrap this up. So Hannah, what about the language in Philippines and Laos? Is it a barrier? Do they speak English? How is it easy is it to communicate?
Yeah. So Philippines, super easy. I did find it, super easy. I was quite surprised actually how well they spoke English now, because again, it is such a small village. The impact of our volunteers being there actually really helps, especially with the children growing up, because our volunteers are working in the schools, so they're teaching them those. But also the adults, I found I had no dramas at all there with English. Laos, a little bit different now. The local team and everyone is fine, absolutely fine. Had no dramas at all there. The only issues I would say would be out and about, there are a few barriers. However, in the introduction, one of the coordinators I think we did like a 2-hour language lesson, basically covering, all those phrases, hello, goodbye, like Marissa said, she did the same, which helps you, by all means, which helps you when you're there. So yeah, there is a barrier, but I didn't personally find myself, stuck in any way.
Awesome. So basically, where there's a will, there's a way, and everyone's always willing to help you out.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Now, we've had a couple of questions. Now, we did cover it around vaccines for you, Marissa, in terms of the 2 African destinations. Hannah, are there any requirements for Philippines?
No, same as Marissa said. So no vaccines are required to enter into the destinations. Again, it's just recommended ones. Yeah, that they'll receive once they've registered.
Cool. And any visas?
Visas, yes. So you will need a visa in Laos. That can be, you can get that on entry, so no need to have it, before you go. I got mine on entry, took about 5 minutes, super quick and easy, mainly because the airport is so small there. But yeah, no, that can all be done. No visas needed in the Philippines.
Easy. And now we've had a couple of people ask around what happens if something happens to them, like if they got sick or broke a bone or had any medical issues. Maybe whatever you want to cover off insurance.
Yeah, I can do this one. So yeah, it is mandatory for all of IVHQ volunteers to have travel insurance. This is, just in case, things can happen. And so we want our volunteers to be protected while they're traveling. And so we have partnered with a travel insurance provider, and that you can get a free quote from them by your profile once you do register. And that's tailored specifically to volunteering abroad. So everything that you need coverage wise, in terms of medical emergencies, if you lose your baggage, flight cancellations, that kind of thing. So it's all there. You can use your own travel insurance provider if you already have travel insurance, so that's no problem at all. You just want to check that it covers everything that you need for your trip. And you just need to give us your policy number and the provider's name, just to ensure that you're covered. And so, yeah.
And then if anything happens on the ground, right, they'll just the local team will sort of help them navigate where and how to help them, right?
Yeah, in terms of if you fall sick or something like that in the program, the local teams in every destination, they're all equipped to assess you, and if they think they need to take you to get medical attention, they will. There's always a hospital or a doctor's or a medical centre nearby that they'll take you to, and get the right treatment or whichever that you need, depending on what it is. So, but they're equipped to get you medical attention, definitely.
Awesome. So we've covered accommodation, and there's private upgrades. If people do want to sort of stay on their own or have something a little bit the step up from your standard accommodation. Remind me, do all 4 locations have private room upgrade options? I know, Hannah, you said one of yours is quite limited, but
Zambia, it's typically sharing rooms, but they do have the private room upgrades for an additional cost. And then on the Victoria Falls program, the standard accommodation is you get your own private room. So
Ooh, luxury, love it. Follow-up question. So obviously you've talked about the meals and they all look delicious at all the destinations. I'm a bit of a foodie, so I was like, I would totally go. But some people have more sensitive stomachs or health concerns. How accommodating are the different destinations in terms of food sensitivity or like vegetarians, celiacs, that kind of thing?
So in Zambia and Victoria Falls, they're both really accommodating. They can accommodate gluten-free, vegetarian, often dairy-free as well. If all you need to do is let us know in your application. Let us know if you require any special dietary requirements, and we can let the local team know, and they can accommodate that. They can prepare in advance to purchase certain foods and things like that. They're always pretty accommodating. A lot of the time though, in places like Africa or where there's limited resources, sometimes if things like vegan or some really sort of niche dietary requirements, that can be a little bit harder just due to the lack of resources as well, their access to certain foods. So
but I guess if anybody has any concerns, they can easily just get in touch and we can clarify, right?
So we can always see what we can do.
Mine same.
Awesome. And so final question before we sort of get into the final bits, safety. A lot of people just sort of wondering, what do we do in the local destinations, and what's the safety like? Is it okay to be out on their own? Are there sort of like rules in place? How much support is available? Can you sort of touch on that?
Definitely. So safety, obviously, in both Laos and the Philippines, they do have curfews in place, so you do have to be back in both destinations by 10 p.m. at night. Again, both locations, they have one of the coordinators, so one of the staff members, I should say, is going to be staying on site, like they live there. So there's always someone around 24/7, and I guess in my destinations, I never found myself feeling like unsafe at all. How about you?
Yeah, same with me in Africa, and I think this is one of the biggest things that comes up is it safe? in a lot of our destinations, particularly in Africa. And I felt completely safe there, especially as a solo female traveller.
Yeah.
I felt completely safe. There was never a time where I was alone. You'd always, even in your free time, you'd always sort of go out with the other volunteers. The local teams are really good because they provide you with particular taxi drivers that they know and that they trust and rely on. So they'll never let you, travel with somebody that you couldn't vouch for. And you've got the local team's contacts if you need them at any time. And there's always somebody on site at the volunteer accommodations. There's night guards on the gate. 24/7.
24/7
support. 24/7 support. And both accommodations I found really secure. You obviously wouldn't go out walking at night maybe on your own. As long as you listen to the rules that are given at orientation, you'll get a safety briefing, and as long as you follow those, then you should have no problem at all.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for answering those questions very broadly, actually. So kudos. So we'll just wrap up into the fees and then the application process. Now, I'll pass it over to you, but obviously if you can just sort of cover the registration fee and then the different price ranges for the 4 programs that we talked about today.
Yeah, of course. So, I guess to secure your spot on the program, we do have that registration fee, and that's from US $329, as you can see there on the slide. We do have 3 options for this. We've got the base registration, we've got the Smart and the Flexi Plus, and they each offer a different level of flexibility depending on if you think your plans might change. We've got more information about those on our website, but basically the registration fee, it secures your place on the program and it covers all of the pre-departure support that we provide to you. You'll get a program guide, you'll get a pre-departure checklist, there's online volunteer training, all of which you can do to prepare for your program. So you're going over there feeling super confident, knowing what you're doing. And then in terms of your program fee, that's what we send to the local team. And so that covers the cost of hosting you as a volunteer. So your meals, your accommodation, your airport pickup, your orientation, and then your placement in general. So for Zambia, it's the program fees, it's from US $20 per day. And Victoria Falls, it's from US $55 per day. And then we've got
the Philippines. So Philippines is from US 26 per day, and then the program in Laos is from US $21 per day. So super affordable for all of those. And here is what Marissa just obviously covered. This is what your program fee will include. Again, so like your accommodation and country program orientation. You get your meals, airport pickup discounts, the 24/7 support from the local team, of course. That's cool. And how to apply. So obviously now some of you here may be wanting to go to one of these 4 destinations. So from now, after after we wrap this up, obviously when you're ready to do so, obviously you'd head onto our website. The first, obviously, if it's not one of these 4 destinations, then you would choose your destination and your project of choice. From there, it's super easy. All you have to do is find one of the green apply for free boxes on our website. It'll be up the top right, or it will be on the project page. There's different ways to find them. Click on that. Roughly only takes 5 minutes to submit your application through to us. And typically, we can get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And so once accepted, obviously you'll be things to a program manager, and then from there they'll be, they'll be in charge with you. They'll be in charge of you. And answer any questions leading up to your time abroad. Obviously, when you're ready to do so, you can secure your place. So that's with the registration fee. So that basically just confirms your spot onto the program. However, we do have any unlimited free changes right up until 14 days. So there is still, time to make changes if need be. But yeah, that's how we do things.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, quite simple.
Yeah. So, we have over 300 something projects in 40 plus countries. So, if you're looking for some other options, definitely head over to our website, which is volunteerhq.org. But outside of that, thank you so much